A democratically elected Jewish president accused of leading a Nazi state by his autocratic adversary. Almost 80 years after the fall of the Third Reich, Russian President Vladimir Putin still claims to be at war with National Socialism. His stated goals of de-nationalizing and de-nazifying Ukraine were, at least publicly, his motivation for a brutal invasion that has already claimed thousands of lives. This line has been peddled by Kremlin officials ever since Russian boots first set foot on Ukrainian soil. From Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to Russia's UN Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia, the claim that Ukraine is a danger to itself is dominating the Russian-speaking world. But is there any truth to these allegations? Or is it merely a scapegoat to justify Putin's war goals? For much of the early 20th century, Ukraine suffered under the regime of one dictator or another. In the 1930s, it endured the Holodomor, a man-made Soviet famine supposedly orchestrated by Joseph Stalin to eliminate the Ukrainian independence movement. Millions died of starvation, and some even turned to cannibalism, even as the USSR rejected foreign offers of grain and seed to lift the famine. Later, Operation Barbarossa saw the Wehrmacht sweep through Eastern Europe, imposing a brutal regime of suppression and persecution as they pushed towards Russia. Though initially greeted as liberators as the avowed enemy of Poland and the USSR, this illusion was quickly shattered. Quick to implement its racial policies, the Nazi death squads exterminated well over 1 million Jews and Soviets in just 2 years. The Second World War, known in Russia as the Great Patriotic War and in Ukraine as the Soviet-German War, left its mark on Eastern Europe. Adolf Hitler's orders to create a zone of annihilation in 1943, coupled with the Soviet military's scorched earth policy in 1941, meant Ukraine lay in ruins. By the time Berlin fell in 1945, 6.8 million Ukrainians were dead, over a third of the total Russian civilian death toll. Today, Ukraine's brutal past manifests in myriad ways. One historical figure who has emerged as a hero in post-Maidan Ukraine is Stepan Bandera, a Nazi collaborator and leader of Ukraine's ultra-nationalist movement. A politician and theorist of the militant wing of the far-right Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, Bandera welcomed the arrival of the Nazis in Ukraine, having helped pave the way with espionage and sabotage. Some Ukrainians hail him as a liberator who fought against the Soviet, Polish and Nazi states while trying to establish an independent Ukraine. Others condemn him as a fascist and a war criminal who was, together with his followers, largely responsible for massacres of Polish civilians and partially for the Holocaust in Ukraine. Despite his controversial past, Bandera is still a celebrated figure. A torchlit procession is held across Ukraine every year on January the 1st. In Kyiv, a Stepan Bandera Avenue has appeared, and in 2010 he was awarded the title of Hero of Ukraine by then-President Viktor Yushchenko. Offshoots of Bandera's Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists exist to this day. The Azov Battalion, a former paramilitary organization recently incorporated into Ukraine's National Guard, has been embroiled in controversy for its use of Nazi symbols. Accused of harboring National Socialist sympathies, it's been internationally condemned as a terrorist organization. Some even claim its slogan, Ukraine above all, is directly derived from the Nazis' Deutschland über alles. Critics point to rampant anti-Semitism in the movement, and its so-called Hitler Youth-style training camps for Ukrainian children. But to the Kremlin, the ultra-nationalist education of children extends far beyond the boot camps and far-right marches. Ukrainian schools, Moscow says, is the training ground for the neo-Nazis of the future. They claim that all references to the Second World War have been completely scrubbed from Ukrainian history textbooks. In the exam topics for 2020, only a certain Soviet-German war was mentioned, and any references to Hitler, Bandera or the Holocaust, Moscow says, is diligently avoided. But even though some elements of the country have been entangled with one of history's most loathsome political movements, the West still stands with Ukraine. Every day that Putin ratchets up his assault against the Ukrainian people with scorched earth zeal, the Russian president's smear of his counterpart in Kiev looks increasingly hypocritical.